Guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, Homeowner Association Forced Me to Pay Homeowner Association Fees. I'm not a member. I sued them for $150,000. I've always been the type of person that never wants to sue someone or cause trouble, but I felt like I had to stand my ground against my shady homeowner association. I know, after reading about all of the terrible homeowner association, I should have known that mine was up to no good. About 12 years ago I purchased my house in a neighborhood called Plaza del Sol. When I signed all of my paperwork at closing, I was presented with our homeowner association documents, stating that we live in Section 1 of the neighborhood. I didn't really think much of it honestly. I realized that the front half was a little older, which is where I lived, and the second half was built years later. It said I had homeowner association fees and whatnot, and I assumed this was all normal. Anyway, I go 10 years of paying these homeowner association fees without much grief or issue. I followed the rules and did what they wanted. Thankfully they weren't the pickiest when it came to silly things like the grass or the trash cans, so I just kept to myself. One day, I received a strange paper in the mail from the homeowner association saying that Section 1 of the neighborhood needed to sign new documents. I started to grow suspicious after this. The letter was worded strangely, almost cryptically, as if they were trying to avoid something. I received a packet of legal documents and information a few days later. Apparently these are what we are supposed to be updating. As I started reading through all of the mumbo-jumbo, it dawned on me that they were trying to cover their asses. Section 1 of my neighborhood wasn't supposed to be paying homeowner association fees this entire time. Apparently, Section 1 of Plaza del Sol is not technically under the jurisdiction of the homeowner association, only Section 2 is. These papers were essentially them lying to us, trying to make it appear that they are just updating some system of theirs, but really, they are trying to obtain our signatures so that they can start legally collecting homeowner association fees from us. I had been lied to, duped for years and years. I couldn't believe it. With homeowner association fees of almost $400 a month, I had given them a ridiculous amount of money over the last decade. So, I decided that I wouldn't pay them anymore, which after over a year of threatening letters and them finally attempting to auction my house in a short sale, I was forced to sue them. I knew that this would eventually be what happened, but I was just waiting. At this point, I don't give a shit if I piss them off. They've been screwing the entire Section 1 part of the neighborhood for years, stealing our money and lying to us. I also managed to start a fuss with the other residents of Section 1 Plaza del Sol. They were obviously just as pissed as me. Feeling shafted and angry, they began holding off their payments as well. A few of them were smart enough to not sign the new documents like I was, making it easy for them to dispute any further homeowner association dues. I contacted several lawyers, and a lot of them don't like to get involved in homeowner association matters. I found this strange, but apparently issues with neighborhood HOA can be hard to deal with in court. What they say goes, and if you have signed paperwork saying you'll abide by their rules and policies no matter how ridiculous, your hands are tied. Eventually I found an attorney to help me with my case against this corrupt HOA, and the ball started rolling. Slow as all get out, but it was going somewhere at least. It took forever to see a court date, but as long as we were dealing with this legal case between us, they couldn't sell my house out from under me. I live in a state that has the super priority lien law, which makes it legal for them to sell my home without my permission if I am behind on their homeowner association dues. Eventually we finally made our way into court. It was an interesting experience for me. I had never had to do anything like this, but I was honestly excited. There was a small jury and everything. The judge started talking and introduced the case. I was nervous at first, thinking that I had made a mistake when the judge seemed to make a face when talking about my refusal to sign the homeowner association's paperwork. When it was time for the attorneys to speak, mine started pretty confidently, stating that the homeowner association had been negligent in their representation of their homeowner association jurisdiction over a decade ago when I purchased the home. He brought my original deed and other helpful documents that will support my claim. The homeowner association's attorney suddenly decided to interject, saying that this was false and that they had different paperwork. The judge compared the two and began scrutinizing the documents from the homeowner association, saying that she wasn't sure if she trusted that their paper was legitimate and that she believed mine to be truly valid. Thankfully, it didn't take too long of going back and forth before the judge asked the jury to discuss and make a ruling. I was at first nervous. The homeowner association's attorney was a bulldog and was trying his hardest to screw me and make me seem like a forgetful old woman, but I'm determined to win. To my honor and surprise, the jury didn't take long to decide that they felt like the homeowner association was guilty of negligent misrepresentation. They awarded me a third of my homeowner association dues that I had paid them, and that was the end of it. I had won. A few weeks later I was unfortunately frustrated. Something didn't seem right. I hadn't seen any of my reimbursement checks from the homeowner association, and that's when my lawyer contacted me. He informed me that the homeowner association had surprisingly appealed the ruling. Long story short, it was over another year of piddly meetings and arrangements until eventually our case made it all the way to the Supreme Court. This judge had more questions to ask but ultimately didn't take long to reach a verdict. They upheld the original ruling by the other jury and demanded that the homeowner association pay me back over half of what I had given them. This was a huge win. I was so appreciative of my lawyers and everyone who had supported me throughout the entire thing. At the end of the day, I was awarded over $154,000. Unfortunately, with how long this court case dragged out, I spent more than that, but I am happy to have at least half of what I had managed to shell out. The homeowner association still governs the Section 2 of the neighborhood, but Section 1 managed to get their way out of their contract. I still live in my house, where I peacefully avoid their fees and rules. My daughter actually bought me a sign that I have in my yard that says Homeowner Association, suck. And I will keep it there until I die or move. The next story is titled, Stolen Lake House. So, my mother has a house. Been in our family for almost 100 years now. Never had a mortgage. Never had home equity anything. Ever. Mom up to date on property taxes. No tax sale, nothing. I went out to the lake house to get some of my stuff. While maintaining it year-round, grass, weeds, etc. It is a summer lake house. And we use it for storage, etc. When I entered the house, it looked like someone had broke in. So, I asked a neighbor. She said the bank took it, and so here we are. I called and filed a police report of all stolen items, that I'm assuming the people the bank hired took. And the police officer is to call my mom tomorrow after he figures out what he can. He informed my mom there is a law where if you care for a property for more than 30 days you can lay claim to the property. However, my mom had hired a guy to take care of the property and the bank's vendors turned him away. My neighbor says they entered with a key, and I can still get in with mine. I am the sole person with a key. My mom doesn't even have one. How is all the possible? The officer told us to be sure we aren't charged with trespassing to not come back. However, he let me get all my stuff. My mom got no notice, no legal transfer, no nothing. How is any of this legal? Can someone explain? Or what do we need to do? Also asked mom to run a credit check. She says she already has credit monitoring set up and gets daily notifications. Nothing weird has been reported to her credit. No equities or the like. Sergeant coming to take my mom's statement today. We are waiting. They spoke on the phone for a good hour. He pulled up her deed while on the phone and said he sees no cases for a lien or foreclosure. He is stumped, but working. He is going to call the security company. Again, cannot reach the bank or ATI until Tuesday. Update. My mother got a hold of the bank today, who said they had no record of the address in their system. However, they did have a completely different lake house in their system. They said they had no financial interest in the house at all. They directed her to their real estate company in our county. He said he hasn't had a house at the lake in many years. She then contacted the property preservation company that secured the house. The CSR got very frantic, asking for the burglary report case number. And again, told her someone would call her. She also stated our address was not in their system. She hired a locksmith at the direction of her attorney, and we went out there and placed warnings and changed locks. The locksmith informed us they actually didn't have a key. As previously stated, I was the only one with a key, and they credit carded the door and replaced the lock in the back and just said duck it when it came to the front door. Neighbors took pictures of our license plates but didn't call the police, so I'm in fear something bigger is going on. But now it's just up to the DA to find someone to press charges against in civil court for emotional damage and loss of truly invaluable things that they stole while renovating. Update 2. Detective solved the case. Property preservation company is claiming full responsibility. They had the wrong house. None of the houses they owned out there had lot numbers on them in their system, so they just assumed and went with it. Yes, my mom is in contact with her auntie before she settles. There is so much more that goes into this than just $30,000 worth of missing things. She asked if the DA is going to take the case. He said they could, but he advised her to contact her auntie Monday before making that decision. The Lake Association had their monthly meeting, at which time the president informed everyone that the no trespassing signs weren't real. So, my take on the neighbors is they are just a holes. But the detective called and talked to her, so I'm sure they are aware now. I just am ready for it all to be over, and I appreciate the amount of notice this has gotten here. My family is very impressed with all of you. The last story is titled, Post-it Notes Left in Apartment. TLDR. I had CO poisoning and thought my landlord was stalking me. On the 15th of April I found a yellow post-it note in a handwriting that wasn't mine on my desk, reminding me of some errands I had to do but told literally nobody about. While odd, I chalked it up to something I did in my sleep, thinking maybe in my half-awake state I scrawled it, so it didn't appear to be my handwriting. I threw it out and thought little of it. On the 19th, I found another post-it note on the back of my desk chair, in the same handwriting as the previous note, telling me to make sure I saved my documents. I was freaked out, but there were no other signs of a break-in, so I set up a webcam in my house aimed at my desk and used a security cam app for it to record after detecting movement. On the 28th, I woke up to find another post-it note, this one saying, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do." I immediately checked the webcams folder on my computer and found nothing from the night before, but my computer's recycling bin had been emptied, which I am certain I did not do recently, indicating someone had noticed the webcam and deleted the files. They were just saved straight to a folder on my desktop called webcam. Today, on the 1st of May, I found another post-it note, this time on the outside of my door, with nothing written on it, and there also appeared to be post-its on many other doors in my apartment complex, all blank, in varying colors. Do I have any legal recourse here? I have no proof except for the post-its, but those are written by my pen and on my post-it notes, so conceivably I could have faked them. Would contacting the police get me into any trouble, if they can't determine an outside source for this? I just want to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time. Edit. I pulled up a letter I received from my landlord back when I moved in, and the handwriting is identical. Could this count as evidence? Update. Thanks to everyone who sent suggestions and gave advice on how to proceed, especially to those who recommended a CO detector, because when I plugged one in the bedroom, it read at 100 ppm. Original poster responds to comments. Seriously? You had significant, low-level CO poisoning to the point where you have a memory impairment? You need to see a neurologist as soon as possible. There's a very real possibility that you need neuropsychic testing and neurocognitive rehab. Hello. I'm writing to you from the hospital. Thanks for the concern. Having not slept the night there, I actually feel tremendously better today, but yes, I'm absolutely taking every precaution. Whoa. This is not at all where I was expecting this story to go. So, you wrote yourself a bunch of post-it notes, and forgot them because of CO poisoning? Yes, the notes were real, I did write them, and I forgot. As for there being notes on all the doors, I went so far as to put notes on my neighbor's door, but not much further than that. I was on a corner, above the garage, so I only had one neighbor, who had headaches and not much more. I wrote all sorts of nonsense. With other notes and letters, I tried to compare it to another document, but I got confused. For example, I picked up a typed document, and sure enough, next to that, most handwritten documents look pretty similar. I also set up a webcam by placing it on a shelf, downloading a camera app to my phone, and making a folder on my desktop called webcam and made an iPhoto library in the folder. I freaked out when the folder was empty. Update 2. I'm currently living with relatives while getting this sorted out. They've already contacted my neighbors, too, though it seems so far, the issue was only in my apartment. In-building parking appears to have been the issue. I was directly above the garage. 10 months later. Good news update. It's been almost a year now. While 4 months ago, things were rough, I've definitely made significant improvement, and currently there's little reason to doubt a full recovery within a year. As it turns out, brains can heal. While brain cells cannot regenerate, the bulk of my issues seem to be cerebral edema, brain swelling, caused by the poisoning. While the inflamed tissue can suffocate and destroy brain cells, it doesn't always, and sometimes the damage is temporary. That said, it is my understanding that without a pre-incident scan, it is difficult to tell what is swelling and what isn't in a very detailed or specific way. I'd say now, 10 months later, I'm about 80% back to normal. And while it is likely there is a 1% that won't recover, and some cells were destroyed, not just disrupted, and maybe I'll always have the occasional headache, there's no reason to think I won't be at 99 to 100% better in another 6 months. So, I'm happy. I've been getting a lot of PMs regarding my legal situation, and I've been advised not to discuss it online just yet, as it is still ongoing. I can say that, legally speaking, things are really looking great for me. And in the meantime, I've had a really lovely place to stay, a very understanding boyfriend, and I've even been making art, a field I wanted to get into but never would if not for the incident. I will say, though, I use a Moleskine notebook daily planner thing now. I do keep busy. Important for mental health. I'm kind of done with post-it notes for a while. Thanks for listening.